Hey Crosspoint, hope y'all are having a great time with your life groups and are growing in love for God and for each other. This week, we learned about the necessity of Christian community, and now we're going to take a more individualized look at how we value those who are in community with our brothers and sisters in Jesus and those that are outside of our church community. Have you ever had a friend or family member that you haven't seen in a while, and then when encountering them found them to be in surprisingly rough shape mentally, emotionally, or physically? I certainly have. I've lost touch with those who I would say are important to me, all because I didn't think I had time. We live in a time where people simultaneously are busier than ever, but where media consumption is up considerably than in the past. Studies have shown that Americans on average consume 4.5 hours of video media a day, as well as around 2 hours of social media a day. We see that loneliness, depression, and feelings of meaninglessness continue to increase and have done so exponentially since the dramatic rise of internet use in our lives. The growing trend of not valuing time with others can apply to whatever keeps us chronically away from them, whether it's devoting too much time to hobbies, working too hard, or spending copious amounts of time doing your own thing. A person's presence or absence in the life of another can have a significant impact, especially when it's somebody we should be having contact with, like a close family member or friend, or following Jesus' call in our lives to reach the lost people who need Him. We see the effects of our presence and absence over time, and sometimes in the moment, decisions on how we spend our time and other habits can do a lot more good or sometimes more bad than we intend to cause relationally. Now, that being said, we have to be careful about thinking that someone else's life is completely in our hands. That is not a godly attitude, and we have to trust God to do His part while we do ours. While God tells us that our lives can have real consequences and that our action or inaction is very meaningful, we have to have healthy emotional boundaries that I believe come from a love of people and a trust in the Lord. I think there's some good guidance in Philippians 2:3-4 and how we should be setting our views about others. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also to the interest of others. We're called to take care of ourselves here too, looking to our own interests, ensuring that our house is in order, and having time to rest. But the emphasis beyond that is to consider others as more significant than yourselves. Paul likened his life to being poured out like a drink offering for the church, a metaphor also used by Jesus before He went to the cross to pour out His life for us. What pouring ourselves out means for each of us is something we'll have to wrestle with, to talk with God about, to practice daily, and if we're connected to others in our church and our life groups, and we're all serving and considering one another as more significant, we will take care of each other. That's God's plan for us. If I'm pouring myself out for others, and I have 6 other people around me that are doing the same, I will be filled. In this way, we're not only getting to have the joy of sacrificing like Christ, but we also get our needs taken care of, and we build bonds with people who are on mission with us. Our cup can run over. Any great marriage works that way, where a husband and wife aren't giving 50% each, but giving 100% to the other. This not only takes care of our needs, but it also builds relationships. If I give an hour to listen to someone else's problems and prayer requests, I know I've got a dozen other people who would do the same for me. This blessing of pouring yourself out and getting poured into can relate to time, money, and service between believers that have spent time together and they're empowered by the love of Christ and faith in Him. So how about you? Are you too busy to use your time for others? Do you need to realign how you would spend your time to how Christ would want you to? Like we've read in John 13, the world will know we love Jesus with how we love one another. What if the church could be a light where we truly value others with our time? What if we could be a different community that is restored and joyfully follows Christ and spends time enjoying the presence of God and their fellow believers, and reaching out to a world that desperately needs the joy found in that? The enemy would like nothing more than to have us waste all of our time pleasing ourselves instead of serving the Lord and serving others. In the end, there's nothing more valuable to us than our time. There's nothing more valuable to God than the people He loves and His glory.